Hello, welcome to week 8 of The Artist's Way. I can't believe I've been doing this for 8 weeks, and I guess that means we have like 4 more to go. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. Maybe I'll do like a summary end video as well, but I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this channel once the 12 weeks are over, but we'll see. I have been enjoying filming these videos and just checking in with myself every week. My background is a little different this week. I'm house sitting, so if you're wondering where the vision board is, where the iconic green couch is, they are still around. I'm just not there. So let's talk a little bit about last week. Last week was a busy week, I will say. I think I say that every week. But life doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon, so I feel like a big theme for me last week was the concept of resting in motion, and that's something that I really want to just implement for many, many weeks to come, because as I've talked about in previous videos, in college and whatnot, I used to struggle quite a bit with just feeling lazy, procrastinating, getting burnt out easily. And I'm at a point in my life where I can't afford to burn out, and I need to be able to recognize when I might be getting to that point so that I can take the time for myself to rest, recover, relax, and move forward. So at least now I'm aware of it. When I was in college, I was just go, go, go all the time. And that's probably why I felt tired. And when I did have downtime, I just wanted to be lazy. Versus now, with the whole idea of resting in motion, I'm really trying to take moments like going for a walk. Last week, I did a couple runs on the treadmill at the gym, and I used that time to, it sounds weird, but like kind of relax, kind of just shut off the part of my brain that has been working so hard mentally and channel it into something physical. And, I feel like that helps balance the scales and keeps your brain sharp, keeps your body in good shape. And when I go to sleep at night, I just feel a lot more well-rounded and prepared for the next day. So I did enjoy getting back into running a little bit last week. It's just such a good stress reliever and anger reliever, I guess. So that is something that I did last week. I'm looking at my planner to see what else I did. I started house sitting last week, so I think my typical routine has been a little bit thrown off, and I'm trying to not be rigid about it, but I think not being in my space does kind of affect my day-to-day routines, because I'm not out traveling out of state, but I'm also not home, so it's this weird in between, and I'm just, in a different space. Don't have all my stuff. So it has been nice to have a change in routine, and I think Beans, my cat, is enjoying it, so we love that. I also had, if you didn't know, I help host dating events in the Boise area, dating shows, whatever you want to call it. We hadn't had an event since last May. We just had one on Friday at a wedding venue, which I thought was a super cool idea. And so that happened. Also went to this is hard to do without cuts, okay, guys? I really try my best. I went to a pool party today, and not today. Oh my God, do I need a restart? You know what? You try talking to the camera for 20 minutes. We're going to keep going. Went to a pool party on Saturday with all my friends. That just made me realize, like, I am so grateful for the support system that I have in my life, and I'm so grateful to have, like, women in my life that are supportive but also have their own thing going on and are, like, doing cool things for themselves, building a really cool life. So I love my friends so much for that, and it's always just so fun hanging out with that group of friends. There was also, like, a big, like, shark water slide, like, inflatable thing that was so much fun, and I just had a fantastic time. I feel like I needed to just go to a little party, a little summer party. It was so vibes. Okay. I also did some pageant practice last weekend. If you couldn't tell, like, there was a lot going on last week. So I practiced, like, my walk and kind of, like, the poses that I want to do, and that went well. So now that you know every single thing, I think, that I did last week, let's dive into the book. Oh, last thing, I was on a big Fleetwood Mac kick last week, and I was listening to their Super Deluxe album, and I kind of had something clicked in my brain where I think it's so cool in music to post, like, your rough cuts, early takes, and demos, like, release them once you've released your album, because that's kind of what they did. I think it's also interesting to, like, release the process as you go, and, like, I'm a very firm believer that there's never, like, a finished product, so I just thought it was really interesting to dive into Fleetwood Mac's Rumors album and listen to some of the early takes. I highly recommend, especially Go Your Own Way. Listen to I can't remember if it was the early take or rough cut of that, one of the two, but it's just crazy to me how different it sounds. Like, you would not believe how different it sounds in the earlier renditions versus the final song. It's, like, nuts to me. Anyway, okay, let's dive into the book. There's so much going on, I feel like I just needed to tell you all about it, but this was week 8 of The Artist's Way, Recovering a Sense of Strength. I really, really enjoyed this chapter. I have a lot of things highlighted, so I'm going to do my best to just talk about the important things. It says, this week tackles another major creative block, time. You will explore the ways in which you've used your perception of time to preclude taking creative risks. You will identify immediate and practical changes you can make in your current life. You will excavate the early conditioning that may have encouraged you to settle for far less than you desire creatively. In the beginning, it talks about kind of what it feels to be in survival mode and surviving loss. And that can be loss of hope, loss of faith, loss of money, loss of self-belief. And it says that in order to move through loss, we must acknowledge and share it. So, excuse me. I just ate some trail mix and I'm choking on it. It talks about criticism, which I know that I could be better about accepting criticism, and that is something I do want to work on, because I feel like I have a hard time distinguishing healthy versus unhealthy criticism. And I'm sure that's something, like, many people struggle with, but I do just want to, like, be open about that because I think it's important. So it says, healthy criticism feels like an aha moment. Something's clicking in your brain. It's pointing you in the right direction. And, like, damaging or unhealthy criticism, it has no saving kernel of truth, yet has a certain damaging plausibility or unassailable blanket judgment that cannot be rationally refuted. Basically, it's just super unhelpful and doesn't make sense to you. I think we've all experienced that. It's like that teacher that no matter how many times you revised your essay, they just thought the essay was terrible. And like that stuff can stick with you. You know, maybe you really loved writing and then that happened and it made you not want to write very much. I definitely had experiences like that in high school, and I've since gotten over it. So, then it talks about the ivory power, which I really don't remember what that means. I think it's basically just like if you're a teacher, you have a certain obligation to put yourself in the position of the person that you're teaching. So, like, I don't know, it's like a film director, or it's like a film teacher teaching you how to make movies but has never made one themselves. Do you see? Like, that doesn't really work. My note says, learning about creativity is far easier than practicing it. You have to have courage to be bad and get better and move forward. So, yeah. Have you had an experience like that? Let me know. It's an interesting topic of teachers. I feel like I have heard a lot of like negative stories online about teachers. I got relatively lucky. I was always kind of a teacher's pet because as a kid, since I'm an only child, I tended to gravitate towards like the adults in my life. So I usually like loved my teachers and the feeling was pretty mutual. I do remember my Spanish teacher thought I was hilarious and told me that I should be on Jimmy Fallon, which is retrospectively so random, but like, yes, queen. It says, basically to grow your creativity, you need encouragement. Creativity cannot be comfortably quantified in intellectual terms. Like we talked about last week, creativity is not logical. It's quite the opposite. And I feel like this chapter repeats a lot of the same concepts that I've been talking about. Yes, it does feel a little bit repetitive, but that's when things start to like click in your brain and you start to really understand the concept and drink the Kool-Aid. Like, you could read any book about a topic that you want to learn more about and implement into your life, and if you get into that book and study it front to back, you will walk out of it a better person no matter what, because you believe in the concept and you believe in your ability to execute the concept to the best of your ability. You know what I'm saying? Like, this book isn't going to fix your problems. You're going to fix your problems. But if you continuously educate yourself, like, that will help a ton. Chill, Carly. I get so passionate sometimes, I can't help myself. I've always been just, when I believe in something, I will stand up for it. So. It says your early work will resemble thicket, underbrush, and even weeds. You really have to like work to get through that. I will read you this portion because clearly I found it important. Without specific tools and sufficient ego strengths, many gifted artists languish for years in the wake of such blows. Talking about criticism. Shamed at their supposed lack of talent, shamed by their grandiose dreams, the young artists may channel their gifts into commercial endeavors and then forget their dreams of doing more groundbreaking and risky work. They may work as editors instead of writers, film editors instead of film directors, commercial artists instead of fine artists, and get stuck within shouting distance of their dreams. Often audacity, not authentic talent, confers fame on an artist. The lack of audacity, pinched out by critical abuse or malnourished through neglect, may cripple many artists far superior to those we publicly acclaim. In order to recover our sense of hope and the courage to create, we must acknowledge and mourn the scars that are blocking us. This process may seem both painstaking and petty, but it is a necessary rite of passage. Just as a teenager must gain autonomy from an overbearing parent, so too an artist must gain autonomy from malignant artistic mentors. Are you willing to take the risk? Unblocking is not easy. It's so freaking uncomfortable, but it's so worth it. And when I started my business 3 years ago, that was the number one goal I set for myself because I knew I wasn't where I wanted to be and I knew I had a lot to learn. And the only thing I wanted to do was to keep figuring out who I am and what my dream is and how I can work every day to get there. And it does not happen overnight, and it's not easy, and you're gonna fall on your face, like literally I have a few times. But it's worth it, and I feel now that I am closer than ever to my dreams, and the way that I feel in my heart and my soul is that I'm headed in the right direction and I'm doing what I need to do, and I will never stop learning and realizing what the dream is. And I highlighted that so much because that's my number one fear, is getting so close and not like becoming a film editor instead of a film director type of thing. Like, even when I was like photographing music, if I would have stuck with that, I would have always been unhappy. There were moments where I thought maybe I could like manage artists. Like, I think I'm a good leader. I enjoy like staying organized in that way. No, I would have never been happy doing that. And I've had a few moments where I think this is the route I want to take. Oh, I think I want to start a marketing business. Oh, I think I want to photograph events and concerts and festivals. No, babe. You are always getting closer and closer, and I don't think I will ever stop getting closer. So, yeah. Take it a day at a time. Take it a page in your journal at a time. Like, you don't need to set huge end goals for yourself. It can be something so small. And that's how you build like trust with yourself, and that's how you create a good relationship with yourself. And I do believe that miracles can happen, of course, but also like I said a few videos ago, pray to catch the bus and run as fast as you can. Be open to miracles. Be open to like receiving gifts from your community, from God, like, but also put in the work, because you're not just going to get stuff handed to you. You need to prove to yourself more than anyone that you deserve it. So, yeah. It also talks about, like, tale as old as time, every ending is a new beginning. This video is already getting long, but yeah, like a year ago I got in an accident, a really dumb one, and I like definitely had some moments where I felt insecure and didn't like know what was next for me. I also had no job. But I stayed pretty positive, like as positive as you could be, not having a front tooth. And I figured it out. And a year later, I'm definitely employed. So things can turn around rather quickly. But, like, do you believe in yourself? And do you see, like, when something ends, do you let yourself get stuck in the loop of, like, grieving that? Or do you move forward? Do you use that as strength to move you forward? How can this loss serve me? Where does it point my work? The trick is to metabolize pain as energy. I feel like most people know that, right? you don't, now you do. If you're only willing to look at the work differently or to walk through a different door, one that you may have balked at before, know, trust, and act as if a silver lining exists. So, she gives a little story, then she says, finally, after one loss too many, I began to look for the other door, the one I'd refused to walk through. I've been through that as well, where I'm headed in a certain direction, things aren't working. Okay, I need to reevaluate. I need to try something that I haven't tried before, because whatever I'm doing now is not working, and it's okay to accept that and move on. Quote says, I cannot expect even my own art to provide all the answers, only to hope it keeps asking the right questions. Continuous learning, that sort of thing. Ask how instead of why me. What next instead of why me. Anything but why me. I cannot stand when people are like, of course that would happen to me. Like, oh, just my luck. Like, you're literally setting yourself up for failure, and you need to stop talking like that. Thank you. What is necessary next? Whenever I've taken no for a final answer, I have stalled and gotten stuck. I have learned that the key to career resiliency is self-empowerment and choice. I really like that sentence. Can't hit a moving target. Whenever one avenue was blocked, she found another. See, there's like a theme to this. Do you understand? Does it make sense? The key is action. Pain that is not used profitably quickly solidifies into a leaden heart, which makes any action difficult. When faced with a loss, immediately take one small action to support your artist. I think you know what I meant. Okay, this is a really long chapter, guys. So, buckle up. And then it talks about using age and time as an excuse. You're never too old, and you do have enough time, because if you don't start, a year from now, you'll be exactly where you were if you didn't start. But if you start now, in a year, you'll be a year ahead of where you were. Like, it's pretty simple stuff. Don't make excuses. I'm too old is something we tell ourselves to save ourselves from the emotional cost of the ego deflation involved in being a beginner. It's used to avoid facing fear. As a culture, we glorify youth and allow our youth the freedom to experiment, and we disparage our old-timers but allow them the right to be a little crazy. We don't want to look crazy, and trying something like that, whatever it is, at our age, whatever it is, would look nuts. Who cares? Instead of allowing ourselves a creative journey, we focus on the length of the trip. But each day is just one more day with some motion in it, and the motion toward a goal is very enjoyable. I am in an acting class is infinitely more interesting than I took an acting class a few years ago. No creative act is ever finished. You will know then what you might have done and what you will do next if you keep working. It simply means that doing the work points the way to new and better work to be done. So focus on process over product, and life becomes an adventure. Life is a highway. Yeah. Feeling extra weird today, so hello. Let's see. Acquire the humility to start something despite your ego's reservations. The grace to be a beginner is always the best prayer for an artist. I keep saying artist. For an artist. The beginner's humility and openness leads to exploration. Exploration leads to accomplishment. All of it begins at the beginning with the first small and scary step. So what is that for you? And it talks about filling the form, which is basically just like reps. Like, do the reps. It might feel redundant. You might have points where you're like, why am I doing this? I have had points reading this book where I'm like, I feel like we already talked about this. But the more you build the reps, the more you increase your strength. Same with the more you fill your form, as the book says, the more it's ingrained in your brain and becomes a part of your daily life. It says creative people are dramatic, and we use negative drama to scare ourselves out of our creativity with this notion of wholesale and often destructive change. Instead of writing 3 pages a day, we prefer worrying about how we will have to move to Hollywood if the script gets bought, which it can't anyway, since we're too busy worrying about selling it to write it. That resonates a lot, I feel like, and it's something important to remember. Daily action, commitment. You don't have to change your life in one night. You can slowly become who you want to be. Creativity requires activity. The odds are what we use to procrastinate about what comes next. You cleared a morning to write or paint, but then you realize the clothes are dirty. I'll just think about what I want to paint and fine-tune it while I fold the clothes. What you really mean is, instead of painting anything, I will worry about it some more. When we allow ourselves to wallow in the big questions, we fail to find the small answers. This is getting long. It's a good chapter, though. It seriously is. I did very much so enjoy this one. Fill this form with creative care until it overflows into a newer, larger form organically. Quote is, no trumpets sound when the important decisions of our life are made. Destiny is made known silently. Large changes occur in tiny increments. Has an exercise, early patterning. So just figuring out some of your early conditioning that like might explain some of your behaviors, basically. And then affirmations. I'll read a couple that I like. I'm a talented person. I have a right to be an artist. I'm a good person and a good artist. Creativity is a blessing I accept. My creativity blesses others. My creativity is appreciated. Okay, the tasks for this week. There was a big one that was fun. It's called Goal Search. Basically, write down what your dream is. Write down one goal that would signal to you that you accomplished it. So it says 2 people might want to be an actress. One wants an article in People magazine. To her, glamour is the center of her dream. The other wants to be in a Broadway play. To her, respect is a part of her dream. So, and the next one is, in a perfect world, where would you like to be in relation to your dream and true north? What action can you take this year? What action can you take this month, this week, this day, right now? List your dream, list the true north, select a role model, make an action plan. 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, 1 month, 1 week, now. Choose an action. Reading this book is an action. Doing our reps. Then it has you pick a color and write like how that color describes you, basically. List 20 things you like to do. Does it cost money or is it free? Expensive or cheap? Alone or with somebody? Job related? Physical risk? Fast paced or slow? Mind, body, or spirit? Plan an ideal day in your life. Plan an ideal day, so a day where nothing is off limits. And yeah, that was week 8. Quick check-in. Now that this video is 30 minutes long, I did my morning pages every day. Like usual, some days were a little hard, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to do it anyway. And it's okay to think you're going to have a great day. It's okay to be a little worried about the trajectory of your day. Just write about it. Did I do my artist date this week? Have you been allowing workaholism or other commitments to sabotage this practice? What did you do? How did it feel? I mean, I did spend a lot of time practicing for the pageant, and that felt really good. And it was also fun. And it made me feel confident and beautiful and like a woman. Did you experience any synchronicity this week? What was it? I feel like I've just been having good conversations with people, and I think when I say I want to do something, like I do get little like nudges from God, from the universe, just pointing me and guiding me in the right direction. And I think a lot like that is like the whole reason I'm doing what I'm doing. Were there any other issues this week that you consider significant for your recovery? In the beginning of the chapter, it talks about time, and I was really excited to read this chapter because I do struggle with my like sense of time and just feeling like I don't have enough of it. And then like the day ends when the day ends, and you do what you can. And like I said before, if you weren't okay, you'd be dead. So like life keeps going on and you keep going through it. So you can either choose to be enthusiastic and excited about that, or you can be a Debbie Downer and make your life miserable for no reason. And why would you want to do that? So I think just focusing on like, even when I'm working hard, even when I'm like being all employed and stuff, like have fun with it. It's fun. I don't know. It's like a different kind of fun. Like obviously it's not fun like going on a vacation, but in order to do those things, you have to put in the work. So at least like keep your head up and your chin up and collect yourself and enter each day with a good attitude. And I feel like that will take you far. So that was week 8, recovering a sense of strength. Week 9 is about recovering a sense of compassion. So it says it might be tempting to abandon ship at this point. I won't, but it is tempting. So yeah, I will see you guys next week.